this is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I don't know if there you go. You can see the texture there. But this is a slimline card. I'm not sure it might be what they call a mini slimline card. It's 7 inches by 3.5 inches closed. I'm not sure what the exact slimline measurements are. I just made one up because that's the paper I had available to use. Okay, so let's get started. I'll show you what I'm using. Now, I'm using Welcoming Woods. This can be the only stamp set you use because that's the sentiment for the front. However, I did stamp a sentiment on the inside. You don't need to do that. I brought in the ornate thanks for that. There's a lot of dies. I used seasonal swirls dies. I used Christmas trimmings dies. And I used giving gifts dies. I used a scripty 3D embossing folder. Okay, then these are my pieces. Excuse me. I have a scrap. This is 3.5 by 5 inches. I just measured it so you could see. And I die cut all of my white pieces out of that. And then this piece here I will use for my sentiment. Okay, oh, it stuck to that one. There we go. 2.5 by 6 inch piece of white. This is embossed with that scripty 3D embossing folder. You see there you go. Okay, a 2 3/4 by 6 1/4 inch piece of smoky slate. Basic gray, which is 3 inches by 6.5 inches. And my card base is 7 by 7, and I scored and folded it at 3.5. Okay, this can all be put aside for a minute. Well, I'm going to need this one, but okay. This is just a banner that I had on my wall. I can't tell you where it came from. I have a wall of banners and label dies. Most of them are labeled, but this one is not, and I don't remember where it came from. Bring these in so I can show you. There's 3 little stars cut out here. I left them in the thing. Those came from the Giving Gifts dies right here. I'll go ahead and put that back in there so I don't lose it. Then I used this die here from the Seasonal Swirls. And these 3 dies came from Christmas Trimmings dies. And this one as well, those 4. Okay, so you're also going to need a little bit of gold foil to cut out this one, the little stars, and then this little star here. And this came out of the scrap from the center of this one. So you really only need a piece that's about 3 inches square, if that, 2.5 inches. Yeah, you could get away with 2.5 inches. Okay, so let's get started and assemble this card. It's just a bunch of die cutting. There's not a lot of stamping. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment first. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink. It might have been smart to use basic gray. In fact, let's do that for this card so we can see the difference. See if we like it better. Bring that in. Basic gray. The rest of the card is gray. There was no black in it. But, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. Perfect. I'm going to bring in my card base. Go ahead and stamp that thank you in the center there. Perfect. Kind of like that gray. Alright. Set that aside. Alright. Now I'm going to bring in this die here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and I will be right back. Okay, I've got that die cut. Now if you don't have a banner die like that, you could just trim it out and then just fishtail the end. That would be fine. I just had the die, so I used it. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this piece, the white embossed piece. I'm going to start layering up my star. I'll put this one on here. I don't think there's any right or wrong really. Okay, then I took some of these branches, put one going this way. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And then I had one going here, another one going here. And then there's 3 of these as well. So I put 2 of these, one here, one here. Third one went here. Then I brought in my solid star. And that's going to go here. So I need to push these in farther. I'm trying to get my placing here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to flip the star over. I'm going to bring in a Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to put seal all over the back of this star. It is hanging off, but we'll fix that in a minute. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck in, oops, wherever it's hanging off, I'm just folding it over on itself. So there's no sticky hanging off the edges. But when I set this down on here, I need these to go this way a little bit more. It's going to adhere all those pieces. It's all together, most of them. Now some of these we might have to add a little bit of glue to the back of, just to make sure that they stay adhered. Come on, glue. Okay, if you ever run into this, my glue is clogged. I must have left it open. Alright, come here, pen. I have a T-pen. You can use a straight pen. But this is, I have a magnet sitting on my wall. And you just poke it. And then it should work. It's being stubborn. Here it comes. Okay, so now I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on the back of some of these that are hanging out a little bit. Just so that I know they're going to stay put. Okay. Now we're going to bring in this star. Now I took out all the outside pieces, but I left that inside piece in so I'd have an easier way to adhere it. And I'm going to bring in mini dimensional, and I'm going to oh, I already did. See, I placed a mini dimensional over that and made sure it overhang on the outside just a little bit so it wasn't just the inside being glued down. And I'm going to bring in some glue dots and I'm going to roll them into a ball. And I'm going to stick them on these points. It's going to give those points just a little bit of dimension, but you're not going to see the glue. Can you see that? And you don't have to do every one, but I did do a couple, 2 or 3 of them. So. Okay, then I took the back off this dimensional. I centered this up on top of my star. And if the glue sticks out, just the glue dot pokes out just a little bit, just take your pick tool and tuck it back in. So I pushed it down and it oozed. So you want it to stick, but you don't want it sticking out. Okay, so there's that piece. I'm going to grab that sentiment and bring in my scissors. And I'm going to snip off this end a little bit shorter. I'm going to add some glue to the back of that. I might as well just use this. And again, it hung over, so I'm going to just roll that over onto itself. Tuck that in there. Wherever you can fit it. Oops, I don't want it under there, I want it under here. But you want to still be able to see the there we go. And now we're going to layer this card up. Okay. Use the adhesive on the back of this. And this is an embossed layer. Make sure you give it plenty of adhesive so it can stick well. I'm going to mount that on the 2 3/4 by 6 1/4 inch piece of smoky slate. And then we're going to mount that onto the basic gray 3 by 6 1/2 inch. Whoops. Okay. Try that again. Pushing too hard. Well, I'm just going to bring in my wet glue then. I'm having a trouble with my glue today. This does not want to come out. There we go. Mount that onto the gray layer. And then this is going to get mounted onto the front of our card. Make sure it's right side up. Okay, then to embellish it, I'm going to bring in those 3 little stars. And I'm just going to take my wet glue. I'm going to put 1 little dot here, 1 here, and I want 1 over here. Take your pick tool, that putty end. Pick up the largest one, put it here. The smallest one will go up there next to it. And then the last one will go over here. There you go. There's the card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously where I used the black ink on the sentiment. Which one do you like better? I kind of like the smoky slate better. It doesn't pop out quite as much. Well, thank you for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.